What's up, spilled milkers? It is I, Andrew Zimmern. Brand new T-shirt, never worn before. Picked up in Vegas at Shakedown Street. And while I was out watching the final weekend of Dead and Company, great weekend. More about that in a second. And obviously, I'm not in a hotel room. Could have recorded it last night in a hotel room. Said, you know something, I'm going to wait till Sunday night and record it at home. Let's get to a couple of burning issues. First of all, the collaboration I did with Scott Lips. Great interview. I hope you all got to check it out on my Substack. Links in social, links on this page, links for everyone all around. It was a free spilled milk edition. So for those of you who are maybe looking to pass some information on to a friend, maybe turn them on to some of the things that take place here on Spilled Milk, it's a great thing to send to someone. Send them the link. I thought it was a fun conversation. It has been a long time since I put out something that garnered as much, not controversy, just opinion, which is what's great about good lists. And when you limit something to a very small amount, top 5 food and travel destinations in the world, as opposed to top 50, you get a lot of pushback. The biggest issues people had with my list is that London was not on it, one of my favorite food cities in the world, top 12, 14 probably, and no Italy. Also, there were in my top 12, 15, would be a bunch of Italian cities actually. The issue that I have with London is that it's probably, if I had to rate it, it's probably 7th or 8th. It's got some great depth and breadth. It's just not there where Paris and Madrid are for the cuisine of that country itself. And the problem with the Italian cities is that they cook Italian food spectacularly, but there's nothing, you would never eat Indian food in Italy. There'd just be absolutely no point. And all respect in the world to Indian chefs working in Italy. I'm sure the restaurants are fine. It's just that Italians are so persnickety about their own food. There's just very little of it. Whereas in London, the Indian food's incredible. The Afghani food is incredible. The Middle Eastern food's incredible. It's got a lot of depth and breadth, just not to the degree that the other cities have. Take Tokyo, for example. Some of the best French food in the world is being cooked in Tokyo. Some of the best pizza in the world, real VPN, Vera Pizzeria Neapolitana is being cooked in Tokyo. So, yeah. And then, of course, New York, the greatest international food city in the world. So have at it. Come at me. Love to hear your thoughts on this as well. As I said before, just got back from Vegas. Stayed at the Venetian, lovely. In the Palazzo, superb. Estetorio Milos there, superb restaurant. Went to Tacos Gordo, El Tacos Gordo, while I was there, the OG location. So ridiculously good. I was just insanely great tacos. You should check it out. Abaria Raku, of course, a regular of mine. Lotus of Siam, a regular of mine. And where else did I go that was worth recommending? Those were them. Spectacular. But the music was what I went there for. And Dead and Company's run is over. Rumors abound that they're about to announce 2 more years of residency, shorter seasons that'll come in March. I don't know. John Mayer wants to do other projects. He hasn't been shy about that. Bob's not getting any younger. Mickey's not getting any younger. Mickey's 80. So it's like, how long can they keep going doing these long runs that just take so much out of them? I hope they do. I posted about it this weekend on my Instagram. You can see pictures and all the rest of that kind of stuff. But as an old deadhead, it was emotional. I didn't want the show to stop. And at the same time, when it stopped, which they all do, there was a bit of finality about it that was hard to take. I've been listening to the band since I was 14, and I think I went to my first Dead show when I was 16. I'm 63. And trust me, I went to a lot of Dead shows. All right, news and notes. I hope everyone saw Pete Wells' final essay, not his final review, an essay that he posted in the New York Times. We all have a link for it for you to check out. And he talks about how restaurants have changed for the worse, citing the growing use of technology at the expense of human contact and hospitality. And I have a lot of thoughts on this take. Number one, I agree with him 100%. I remember going in the 60s with my father to restaurants. And, you know, every dupe was handwritten or waiters memorized it. Checks were handwritten. It was just a different time. And I'm just using that as one, method of payment was personal. And what was more important was that there was an emotional transaction when you walked in the door that took place way before a physical transaction or a financial transaction ever took place. You walked in and there was, the smells, the hubbub, the conviviality, the focus on service and food. I mean, you can actually feel those things. And I'm talking about like from little taverns serving hamburgers to fancier restaurants serving whatever type of food they serve. Then you had a physical transaction when you were greeted by someone at the front door, host, hostess, manager, whoever, or maybe it was just a guy behind a counter saying, slice, something like that. That then is a physical transaction. The monetary transaction came way later. Nowadays, you're prepaying sometimes when you make a reservation at a good restaurant. And along the journey, the physical contact and the hospitality has been taken out of it, and it will increasingly get more and more so. And here's why. Because restaurants can't afford to keep employing so many people when the tech is there that will allow them to save so much money. My friends who I was traveling with to see the shows had a lot of questions about that. And I told them that it is going to increasingly get worse. There is no going back. Real estate is too expensive. Food is too expensive. Food is not going to get cheaper. It is only going to get more expensive and more precious as the years roll by. We're seeing it more and more with every single year. And that is going to cause restaurateurs to create all kinds of different systems that are mechanized as a way to save money. And that does not bode well for those of us who grew up with more of a personal touch and that essence of hospitality. For someone who's 10 years old, 12 years old today, and just starting to dine out with their parents, they will never know that world that I grew up in, and that for so many people they were used to in the 80s, 90s, aughts, even in the 20-teens. We are forever changed. Where you will see it is when you go overseas, where technology is playing a slightly different role, but in cities like London, Paris, Rome, the big global capitals, Tokyo, I think it's going to continue to get less and less personal. Wells, it's a fabulous article, great food for thought. There's another New York Times story that I thought was really great that sort of dovetails with something we talked about last week on the AMA. And this one is about restaurant etiquette and insights from 3 general managers. And someone asked me last week about how you become a better restaurant guest, a better diner. And there's I don't want to ruin it for you. Read it. We've got a link there about restaurant etiquette. On to your questions. Montserrat writes, hello, my father catches fish off the coast of Alaska and Baja, California. The halibut and salmon are both always dry. What's halibut doing or salmon off the coast of Baja California. But I'm assuming that she's using those just as examples from Alaska, are both always dry. Weird. Like the fish itself, maybe it's how it's being processed if it's frozen. I don't cook them for very long, and I always use olive oil or sesame oil, but the fish still comes out dry. Help, please. Either it's during the processing of the fish or it's being overcooked, because both halibut and salmon, halibut obviously much leaner, salmon obviously much fattier. If you cook salmon just to the point of being done and let it rest, it can't help but be moist. And maybe it's your methodology. Maybe too high heat is being applied. I can only guess. I would encourage people with cooking dilemmas to put, and this is not personal, Montserrat. I just want I want you to get your answer, and I want everyone to get their answers. Another layer of detail would help. So Montserrat, if you want to give another layer of detail, I'll answer it next week, but it's problematic. I get it. Rachel writes, "Hi Andrew, longtime New York City resident who frequently used to go out to dinner. I found that over the past few years, it's been nearly impossible to get a reservation less than a month out. True, let alone walk into a restaurant and sit at the bar solo for a glass of wine and dinner. Truth. What are your thoughts regarding the new reservation culture here? The bots, the third-party sites selling reservations, TaskRabbit for hire, people standing in for people outside of Lucali." I was talking about that actually this weekend with a friend. How do I enjoy the fun and spontaneity of popping into a neighborhood restaurant when it seems that can no longer be the case? Well, the first thing to do, and I encourage people to do this, if it is an actual neighborhood restaurant in your neighborhood, let the manager know, hey, it's my second or third time here. I live around the corner. Restaurants thrive. They get their most income from the return customers, and the largest percentage of return customers are people who live nearby. So restaurant managers in a restaurant that, if they're smart, will actually cater to people. I always say to folks, they're like, I want to be treated like a regular. And my advice to them is always be a regular. So show up. And if this happens to you, let's say you've gone once and you can't get a reservation, and 2 weeks, and you wait a half hour, and 2 weeks later, the same thing, let the manager know. Let them know that you're a regular. They'll usually give you their card, you can exchange information, and then when you call, you'll probably get a reservation. I will say, this whole new reservation culture is part of that technology boom that has taken some of the joy out of dining out in restaurants. There are plenty of restaurant seats in New York City and in other cities. There's too many restaurant seats in the Twin Cities here. I think we have too many restaurants by a smidge. And certainly in New York, there's an insatiable desire for new restaurants, and seats in them are increasingly precious, especially the ones that get a write-up. Everyone wants to collect, it's like a sacred totem to have said you've gone to a certain restaurant that's impossible to get into. So I feel you, but I would talk to the staff in your neighborhood restaurants, and I always feel that the more information you share with restaurants about your desire and how you utilize restaurants, the better off your relationship there will be. But this is a perfect example of what Wells was talking about. James writes, "I would love it if you would recommend favorite places to eat in Amsterdam if you have some. My wife and I will be there in late October." Oh my gosh, do I have restaurants in Amsterdam for you? Why? Well, Northwest Airlines bought KLM. Northwest Airlines got absorbed in a merger with Delta. Minneapolis became a hub, so whenever I go to Europe, 9 flights out of 10, I fly to Amsterdam and change there. And frequently, because I love Amsterdam, I will stay overnight either when I arrived or on the way out, spend a day in Amsterdam. And I happen to love that city. It's a great walking city. The canals are incredible. Going up to the North Sea is just incredible. I love that part of the world. I think Northern Europe is under-traveled. Go to Holland and Belgium, go up to Northern Germany, go up to spend time in that area of Europe as opposed to in the South, and you will see. So yes, I spent a lot of time there. If you want fine dining, something a little more vegetable forward, go to Back, B-A-K. If you want something that's like fun, but they take their bistronomy very seriously, think house charcuterie, think of incredible bespoke wine list, but nothing that's going to break the bank. There's a restaurant called Cogman and Cortecas. It's two partners, Kaagman and Cortecas, Kortekeaas. Superb. Another fine dining restaurant I really like that is not vegetable focused is called Dalder, Daalder. Superb Michelin star cuisine. If you want to have great farm to table stuff, you are literally eating in a transformed greenhouse. There's a restaurant called Decas, D-E, separate word, K-A-S. Superb. If you like casual French food, there's so many in Amsterdam. It's seemingly something that the Dutch just love. And it's a restaurant called Trofe, T-R-O-E-F-E. Dynamite. Seafood. There's a place called Pesca, P-E-S-C-A. While you're waiting, you get a glass of champagne. You watch, all the seafood is on display. It's just incredible. The pace is buzzy, but it's just cool and stylish and great people watching and a great place to go for an evening with friends. There's a restaurant called Blau, B-L-A-U-W, that I think does the best Indonesian food, including Riesstaffel with the whole thing laid out. They even do a vegetarian version. They even have a sample of Indonesian street food on their bar. I think it's on their bar menu. Gotta go. There's a restaurant called Cafe Restaurant Amsterdam that the Dutch, they do this a lot. They've chopped it up and they've used the letters from the words to make what they call it Cradam, C-R-A-D-A-M, but it's the Cafe Restaurant Amsterdam. It's a big place, cavernous, 150-year-old building in an old water pumping station. And again, deviled eggs and coq au vin and steak frite, that sort of casual bistro fare is on the menu there. Riesel, R-I-J-S-E-L, best rotisserie chicken in Amsterdam. And I am a rotisserie chicken freak. It's superb. And then the last place I should tell you about is a place called Hotel de Good Pheasant. It's the Good Pheasant Hotel, but it's not a hotel, it's a restaurant. And it's hotel, H-O-T-E-L-D-E, separate word, G-O-U-D-F-A-Z-A-N-T. And they have an incredible French doors and garage doors that opens out onto this terrace. So in good weather in October, will be beautiful there. On a sunny afternoon, like lunch, a late lunch there would just be delightful. Really good stuff. Carrie writes, you're going to keep doing the outdoor grilling show. Yes, in fact, as of September, when a new show that I made called Field to Fire premieres, I think I'll be the only person who has 2 live fire cooking shows on television, which I'm super proud of. Field to Fire premieres September 22nd or 23rd. You'll hear more about it here. You'll see it on my website on Outdoor Channel. And we're shooting right now as we speak. Tomorrow I go in for day 7 or 8. We're shooting 2 more seasons of Wild Game Kitchen that will be airing on Tastemade, A&E, and I forget who has the third window on that show. But yeah, we're making a lot of them because people love them. And I am getting so many comments from people just on the street like, hey, I love that Wild Game show. And I think what people love about it is that when I'm cooking a recipe for duck or pheasant or quail, whatever, we make sure to let people know you can still do it with chicken or turkey at the supermarket. And I think the techniques that we're talking about are just good, smart food ideas. I think it's smart cooking. And plus, I think people, you can turn on the heat on your stove or the oven and put something in. It's really safe. But managing fire is such a cool, fun, hobbyist way of cooking. And once mastered is really a delight. So yeah, we're making lots of them. Carrie, oh, I love to watch you cook and you describe your method in such a relatable way. Thank you. Heather writes, what suggestions do you have for a picnic dinner and an outdoor concert on the grass? Charcuterie, cheese, bread, fruit, and a thermos. Now, there's so many insulated devices. Yeti makes a ton of them. Thermos, it's just all the companies make great ones that are not expensive. And cold or hot soups, depending on what the temperature is going to be. It's just a great way to enjoy everything. I also think there's now, I just saw them when I was in Vegas, you can order cardboard picnic campers. They sort of fold up and they have a little carry handle, but then all the garbage can go inside it and you just throw it away. You don't take it back to your car, except your container that you use to transport your cold or hot soup. But I just think, as cliched as it is, that's the thing to do. Now, you want to make some shrimp salad and potato salad and all kinds of wonderful things. That if you have a cooler to keep it cold and it's an easy thing, it's more of a tailgate situation at an outdoor concert sometimes. It's an easy walk to your car. I have a Yeti that I love that's, big enough to put food for 4 and beverages for 4 in, but it's on wheels with a telescoping handle. So I use that for tailgating or for concerts because I sometimes make some more involved things or stuff with leftovers, or I cut up a roast chicken and put that in there. A cut up roast chicken and a salad with a sturdy mustard vinaigrette is about as perfect, and a lot of fruit and a little bit of cheese and some great bread is about as perfect a picnic meal as I can imagine. Martin writes, hi Andrew, we live in Las Vegas. Oh, I was just there. Today is the opening of Bazaar Mar. Love Jose Andres' Bizarre Meat and love everything that he does for humanity. Me too. I see that there are other Bazaar Mars across the country. Yes, started in Chicago. Have you been to any? Yes. Menu looks great. I know. Thoughts? Many. People should go. Let's talk about Bazaar Meat. First of all, is probably the best meat-centric restaurant in America. Not just for steaks, for all types of meat. Their lamb is the best. Their pork is the best. It's the only restaurant that I know of in America where you can have baby hogs roast in a wood-burning oven, and that wood-burning oven they don't use for anything else. They don't put pizza in there. They don't put vegetables in there. They don't put anything. It's just for roasting these incredible Iberico baby hogs. Probably the best pork that I've eaten in a long, long time. Shopper's tip. You can buy Iberico pork on La Tienda that comes frozen, but D'Artagnan, the meat company online, d'artagnan.com, sells Canadian porcelette baby pork that is so freaking good. There's not a cut, I've tried them all, that I wouldn't buy. If you're looking to make great pork dishes at home with butter tender meat, it's just extraordinary. Bazaar Mar in Chicago was one of the best food experiences I've had in a long time. First time I went, I was with Jose, and we just walked around and just ate stuff, standing, walking around for an hour. But I subsequently took people back there about 5-6 months ago. It just an incredible experience. The food is superb. The quality of the fish and shellfish is second to none. The creativity with which it's made is absolutely insane. And I can't recommend it enough. And for people who like to drink, the beverage program at Bazaar Mar is one of the most inventive and superb ones. And they've gone bonkers. They've plussed it up at the Vegas location because obviously a lot of people go there. They want to party. So yeah, Bazaar Mar, huge. And what the Think Food Group is doing these days, as Jose seemingly is opening a new restaurant almost every week, it's just explosive. Really, really, really good, high quality food. Joe writes, Chef, do you have a favorite braccio recipe? You bet your bippy. Funny you ask. I'm going to the Kohler Food and Wine Festival in Kohler, Wisconsin in October. And I'm doing a braciole there. And last year, to go back to the other question about my Wild Game Kitchen show, I did for Field to Fire, that's coming out September 23rd. I shot the largest species of Eurasian antelope. It's called a nilgai, and I was down in Texas and hunted one for 3 days. The same. We just kept go every day. We try to get on this one animal, and finally one day we just said, okay, one more pass with the Jeep, and we were. I mean, it was 7 o'clock, and you could barely see 10 feet in front of you. And we were on our way back to the ranch house to call it quits. And 3 days before, when we started, the guide said to me, now, nilgai, you can see one right away, or you may never see one. He says, sometimes, he joked, you just come around the corner and there's a trophy buck just standing right there. And that's what happened to me. We came right around the corner and there was a monster 250 feet away. Before he hadn't even stopped the car, and I put the gun down and I took my shot. And with the nilgai meat, one of the things I do is I pounded out thin sheets. I made a stuffing with breadcrumbs and prosciutto and spinach and Parmesan cheese, and we rolled it up, tied it, and I cooked it in my Sunday gravy, my tomato sauce, along with homemade nilgai sausage. So not only do you get to get the recipe, but you can see me do it. And once September rolls around, those recipes will be on our website. But that is, Joe, at least one person will be watching that episode of Field to Fire on Outdoor Channel, because I make it from scratch. And then what I do is I made some soft polenta, and I spill it out onto a big board, and then I build all the meats, the meatballs, the braciole, the sausage, and then spoon more gravy on top, and you put it in the middle of the table and everyone eats it. It's my preferred way of doing a Sunday gravy dinner, is on polenta, where everyone can share it. Then you have a pot of sauce on the side for people to dip bread or take more on their plate, but there's just absolutely nothing better. I happen to love braciole. So yeah, you'll get the recipe September 23rd. It's a killer one. Developed anew with a lot of research, and it is just, as are you. Chef's kisses to all. See you next week.